Bright Room. I am here to talk about finding your way into a cybersecurity career, both for beginners that are trying to figure out what they might want to do in cybersecurity, and then anybody that might be wanting to switch roles or help other people come into the field. So she just described me a little bit, but yes, I am a University of Idaho Graduate School student. I'm starting my second year in the master's program. I did teach over 20 years. I've taught everything from preschool through college level. I already have a master's degree in educational psychology. And so I'm really interested in trying to find a way to use my extensive teaching background as I come into the cybersecurity field to help with education, workforce development. And then I just this week finished up my summer internship with CISA, where I was working in the Office of the Chief Learning Officer in the Academic Programs and Outreach group. And so the micro challenges that I'm going to be talking to you about today are actually one of the projects that I got to work on as part of my internship with CISA. Although I should also say I'm not here representing CISA, I'm here as a University of Idaho student. Okay, I imagine that everyone in this room is fully aware that we have a dangerous shortage of cybersecurity professionals in the United States, which leads us in a situation where our physical and cyber infrastructure is at risk. So according to CyberSeek, there are currently over 660,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs nationwide, 3.4 million globally, and job openings have actually increased 77% in the last 13 years. So for Idaho specifically, there are over 5,000 open, unfilled cybersecurity jobs, which means that we effectively need to double our cybersecurity workforce as quickly as possible. Let's see. This is actually a really cool site if you haven't been to CyberSeek. It provides data on cybersecurity jobs that are open nationwide, state level, and also specifically associated with the NICE cybersecurity workforce framework roles. So you can go check all that out. And the top three, since they told me I should take a little more time, the top three are actually California, Texas, and Virginia. So California's got 69,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs right now. So despite the demand in this field, it is actually not an easy field to navigate. If you're new to it, if you're trying to get into the field, it's a really large field. There are a lot of different types of job possibilities, a lot of different pathways. And particularly if we're trying to increase diversity of who's coming into the field, a lot of people don't have family and friends that are already working in the field to help guide you, to show you what are the pathways into this. So it's been almost 3 years now since NIST released the NICE Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. And the goal of this framework was to provide a common set of language for describing cybersecurity work and work roles, to make it easier for everyone, whether public, private, or academic sectors, to know what we're talking about when we talk about specific job roles, to be able to describe those and hire them, and also to be able to track them and address our most critical shortages. So they came up with a list of 52 cybersecurity work roles. And I can tell you as an FSS student, I go to job career fairs all the time, and we're asked to fill in what jobs we're interested in. And almost all the students, there's like two. A pen tester, okay, great, you've learned one job role, but they have no idea on the full wealth of what types of roles are needed in this field. So NICE created this framework. It tells you, the knowledge, skills, abilities associated with each role. And then CISA, as part of their national initiative for cybersecurity careers and studies, they have a website where they developed a graphical way of interacting with that workforce framework. And so that's what this image is. This is at the nix.cisa.gov website. And so it's got all 52 work roles. It helps you see how they're connected to the different skills communities. And it helps you kind of see how each job is related to other jobs. So which ones have overlapping skill sets, which ones you might be able to jump from this path to that path and help you with that. Each workforce role on that website, they describe the role, they give you the category, the specialty areas. If you're interested in federal work, it actually gives you the OPM ID number that's most closely associated with that role to make it easier for you to be able to find those jobs. And then because, of course, not all employers use the NICE workforce framework yet, it gives you a series of related functional titles. So what else might somebody call this job if I'm trying to do this type of job? It also includes specific details. So what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that I need to be able to do this job? What are the capability indicators? Which means, like, what are the education or training or certifications that might be appropriate for this job if I wanted to do this? Common relationships, so that even if you're already in the workforce, you can see, this is my skill sets, these are things I know how to do, what other jobs might also be appropriate for me. And then many of them, not all, but many of them have little spotlight videos that have been produced by WISIS, the Women in Cybersecurity, where they highlight a cybersecurity professional who is currently working in that job role. However, even with all that information, it's a lot of, like, here are the tasks, and here's a lot of knowledge, and here's a lot of skills. It's really hard, if you're new to the field, to have a good sense of what does the day-to-day work actually look like. If I'm going to be this role, what am I actually going to be doing? And so that's what the micro-challenges are meant to help fill that gap. The goal of our micro-challenges is to give people a more concrete way to explore cybersecurity careers by actually challenging yourself to do one of the core tasks associated with that job role. So the micro-challenges, we've got 14 of them that have been created so far, and they're meant to take about 15 minutes. They're meant to be accessible to anyone, so for beginners, people currently in the field, anybody that would like to give them a try. They don't assume previous knowledge. You are actually put into a situation where you are an intern on your first day at the job. And you're given a mentor who's there to say, hey, here's something that I do on a daily basis, let's give it a try. And then they can help walk you through how to actually do that job. For these first 14 challenges that we created, we pulled those from the CyberSeek current map of the top 10 most in-demand job roles. And so I've got those right here. Those are the top, I mean, of course, this is continuously changing those numbers, but to give you a general sense of how many, like 139,000 system security analyst job roles that are open right now, need to be filled. Now, I know this may be a more mathy crowd, so in case anybody is actually mentally adding these up, it does add up to more than 660,000 that I mentioned earlier. And that's because we have to keep in mind that oftentimes one job might encompass more than one work role. That's not uncommon, particularly in a field that is don't have enough workers. So that data is not meant to be aggregated. Okay, so what to expect with the micro-challenge. So you are, again, a user that is placed into, we give you a virtual machine environment where you are an intern on your very first day of work, and your mentor is going to guide you through the challenge and letting you know a little bit more about what that work involves. You are able to ask for specific guidance, step-by-step guidance on the first challenge that you're given, but then after that to kind of provide a little more forgot the word there, but to make sure that you're actually learning it for the second challenge, you're asked to do it independently. Now, one of the things that I really, really like about how we did this is that the challenges are very upfront with you about the fact that people don't need to know everything. We specifically introduce you to man pages. We specifically introduce you to, hey, go do a search, use a search engine and look this up. Because anybody working in the field doesn't actually know everything. We're all constantly doing that. And I think it's really important that beginners understand that you understand that you are somebody that can do this work, because you're going to get into it and you're going to look something up, right? And you're not expected to have all the knowledge in order to do your job. So here's an example one for the Cyber Defense Incident Responder. Again, each challenge gives you an actual core task from the NICE framework. So here we're asking the user to collect intrusion artifacts and use the discovered data to enable mitigation of potential cyber defense incidents. So they're going to be given a VM where they are introduced to Wireshark, TCP dump. They're asked to look at some PCAP files and look for things that are out of the ordinary. And again, the first challenge they do, they have the option of asking to be, hey, can you give me a little more help? And we'll actually walk you through that. But then after that, they're expected to apply it to reinforce that learning. Once you've successfully completed one of the challenges, then we go to a page that's like, hey, congratulations on your successful first day of work. And then we actually take you to extra resources. So you're given some places where you can search for education and training resources related to that job, scholarship opportunities, an interactive cybersecurity career map, and then job search resources. So if you liked it, here are some ways that you can continue on into this job. Okay, and I'm not going to go through an entire one, but I wanted to kind of give you all an idea of what this looks like. So let's go over here. So you go to trycyber.us is the website where, and these just launched this week, so super excited to share it and hope everyone will go tell everyone else about it. So you go to trycyber.us and you will find the list of, hang on, why is it not switching? Let me go close that up. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay, so it shows you all of the different job roles that you can do a micro challenge for. So they are also graded by difficulty, so there are some that are easier than others. And 4 of the workforce roles we have 2 challenges for, so there's an easier one and a more advanced challenge. And then once you click on this, just like a cooking show, I've already done it because it takes a few minutes for the VM to spin up. You're brought into a work environment, and you actually have an opportunity. The first thing that we put in there is in case somebody doesn't have any background in Linux, they don't know how to use a terminal, there's an opportunity to do a quick Linux terminal tutorial. And then you're introduced to your mentor. And so you can see here at the bottom, you've got 2 tasks for this one. Let's see, which job are we doing? The System Security Specialist. And so this one's interesting. This person is going to be asked to look at the company's policies. And in the policy, there's an excerpt from STIG, the Security Technical Implementation Guide, that uses an excerpt from a vulnerability ID. And they're supposed to look at that policy and then go see, is the company implementing that policy, and if not, fix it. So there's 2 different things that they're doing there. Their password encryption policy, seeing if that's properly implemented, and a default file system permissions policy, seeing if that's properly implemented. And there is an automated mechanism that grades that to give them immediate feedback if they are able to successfully do that. So in this first one, they're going to ask, your mentor is going to ask you to go check out the policy, read through it, learn a little bit about what STIGs are, what this means, and then they walk you through how to do it. And then the second one, you're supposed to go look up this policy yourself, see if they're implementing it properly, and fix it. So again, it's supposed to be a 15-minute. You're not supposed to learn everything about how to do this job. But what we want people to walk away with is an understanding of what would I be doing if I were doing this job, and hopefully also a sense that, hey, this is something that I could do. This is not that hard, right? That this is something that is within your capabilities. And I'm going to actually be at the WESIS Career Village. So I think between 12 and 1, we have a few laptops set up over there if anybody wants to come check these out. And I think that's actually about all I have. Any questions? Yeah. No, that is absolutely the goal. The goal is that for high school students and up to, or even middle, give it a shot. And he was able to do it. So I would say the thing that is most difficult, especially if you're working with students, is the typing and the fact that, and we had a little bit of conflict between me and the rest of the team there, the fact that we don't teach things like tab completion, which, or up arrow to retype the thing that you already, I was like, that's sort of an artificial barrier that anybody that's actually working the job is going to know and actually do. So if I were honestly using these in person, I would teach those 2 things because they do work within the VM. And I think the biggest frustration for my son is if you don't type something exactly perfect, then it doesn't work, right? But no, other than that, especially for that first challenge, it always asks, hey, you want to try it? And you're like, yeah, I can do this on my own. But if you want more help, your mentor that you're working with will walk you through it step by step. and then you're asked to apply it to reinforce the learning, to apply it again on the second challenge, which is, just slightly different, but not so much so that you can't achieve it. So I certainly encourage you to give them a try, so you'll see. And I found it really cool myself because, some of these things I did know, but there were certain areas where I haven't taken a class, and it's just kind of cool to see, like, what are the tools that you would use if you were in that job, and how would that work? Yeah.
So I'm actually in industrial cybersecurity right now.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I want to go to the industry.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what just to do because there is so many, as you mentioned. So I don't know what is the best for me. Will you recommend me like to go to the traffic variable data analysis?
So I'm super interested in the industrial cybersecurity area of things myself. My project that I'm working on for my master's is actually the cyber physical shooting gallery, and that's actually what I'm trying to work on, is creating a shooting gallery, which is like essentially a series of targets around the room, so that as you're learning to hack, to defend, something physical is actually happening in the room. And each one of them is designed to teach you either a specific skill within that area, or a
Their system is a more generalized approach.
right.
If someone's looking to, kind of, dip their feet in the waters of cybersecurity, so to speak, is it better to go down a pathway that's more general, or are you seeing that there's more jobs that are being open for a Google certified security specialist, or Cisco, or Oracle,
Right.
or the specific track for the vendor?
I think it's sort of a double-edged sword. So my brother's worked for Microsoft for a large number of years, and he was actually laid off. He's getting a job back soon. But one of the issues that he ran into is that his area of expertise is so focused on that one area that other people thought that maybe he wouldn't be right for them. So I think there is a little bit of a danger going too specific like that. But this tool isn't really meant for that. I think that, if you know that you want to work with Microsoft products, if you know that you want to go, then you should certainly take those. Go do, Cisco's got great tutorials, right? Great materials that are available on their site. Right, and they're free. So that's all awesome. But this is really like before that step. This is just like somebody who thinks, maybe I'm interested in cybersecurity, right? But I have no idea what area. I don't know, the difference between any of those things. And so it's just kind of to see, what is the work really like? Do I have to sit in a basement with my hoodie on, hacking all the time? No, actually you don't. You don't actually have to wear black all the time. You can.
So this type of thing, if a person is to go down this pathway and they start to pursue some of these jobs, are you seeing that most of them require some sort of a degree, or is it starting to become so desperate in the industry that they're hiring people that literally have experience only, no degree, and technically no formal certification?
And frequently not really experience either.
Really?
So yes, definitely there is such a shortage that people are hiring. I think what's really hard though for many people is getting those very first entry level jobs can be difficult. And I think part of the problem with those jobs is that we've got such a shortage that we don't have people in the workplace to train you, right? And so it's hard, everybody wants to hire somebody, that has a longer list, yeah, that has all these things. So it is a little bit tricky getting into your first entry-level jobs. Right, exactly, right, yes.
Entry-level position with 5 years of experience programming.
Right. And when I actually first got started, I've been going through the same process myself. So I went to SANS had a new to cyber conference that I went to, and one of the things that they talked about is that we don't actually have a
Good, so you're the one I'll ignore and just keep talking. Right, and then I have to like leave afterwards. No, this one will be quick. I'm more worried about my afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this on? We're good? Can you guys hear me okay? That's the wrong. All right. Well, so that's the May update. I want to pick up where Tiffany left off on a few points on the workforce, which is so important because we don't have enough people to do all the jobs that need to get done. So you guys have heard that before. This effort started 2 or 3 years ago. Let's see, 3 years ago with Governor Little's. He put together a cybersecurity task force, and he did a few other things in legislation in the budget. And one of the things was to allocate $1 million to the public schools of Idaho, the higher education institutes. So we have 4 community colleges in the state of Idaho, one Lewis Clark State College in Lewiston, and then 3 advanced graduate degree granting universities. And they said, here's $1 million, go do cybersecurity. And so, we spent that pretty quick. But one of the things we put together was to build this range. And I'm supposed to jump through these slides pretty quick. This was intended for a longer talk in a different audience back in May. But coming together under that initiative, there were a lot of things in the state already in motion. You guys probably already know that Idaho's been doing cybersecurity for a long time. It's the reason I came here, and we have storied programs. The Idaho State University and the University of Idaho were we're both in the first 7 schools to be recognized by the NSA for National Centers of Academic Excellence. NIC, Northern Idaho Community College in Coeur d'Alene, was one of the first in 2017 to be recognized as a 2-year school designation, which they've started recently. Since then, we have 5 schools in the state of Idaho of the 8, and 2 programs of study that are under review, and 1 that needs desperately to hire more cybersecurity faculty. So we're trying to get all 8 of us. We don't have as many schools as California, but we'd still be the first state in the union to have all of our schools as centers of academic excellence. So still one of the goals. So what's the range? Well, it's a lot of things. That's too many words. So we talked about cyberseek.org just recently, and a lot of people are looking at this. This is a really great resource to kind of dive through some big data. It's NSF sponsored. It's run out of a couple different universities to do, and with at least one company to do like web scraping and looking at Indeed and trying to see all the posts and everything that has the word security in it. There's some, and it's constantly refined, which is, I think they've taken a fairly scientific approach to try to get the numbers right. But there's some debate. You know, are all these jobs cybersecurity jobs? Isn't every job a cybersecurity job? Maybe. Is it, you know, are we asking the right things in the job postings? Is looking at job postings the right way to judge what our real need is? I mean, those are valid questions. So what are we doing with the range? The mission of the Idaho, I have to read this word for word. The mission of the Idaho Cybersecurity Education and Training Range is to sustainably provide collaborative infrastructure and instructional technologies that empower our institutions of higher education to meet their program objectives and prepare world-class cybersecurity professionals. That paragraph took like 3 months and several committees to write. The Idaho Cyber Range combines state-of-the-art capabilities and security best practices that enable scalable, protected enclaves for high-fidelity simulations of real-world threats, attacks, defenses, and responses. That one I just wrote off the top of my head. Well, right, yeah. I worked at NIST. This is really the whole slide deck right here is what I should have jumped to. These are our campuses. These are our locations. You know, Boise's got a couple of locations in CWI, so I wasn't really fair, I think, there. I should have spread those dots out a little more. We've got a lot of concentration of effort and interesting things here in Idaho Falls, which is really cool. When I talk across the state, I'm very much interested in seeing us all pool together our resources and capabilities and do better things for each other, but a lot of those capabilities are like right down the road for me. And so I want to do more in East Idaho over the next couple of years to try to set a better example for what we can do with this functionality. But we've got some, you know, we've got some great locations. This one's our building. And so since you guys are here, I mean, the nice thing is that maybe if I quit talking quickly, we go downstairs and take a look at the Idaho Cyber Range, because it's in this building. It's in room 104, which is not being used today. 101 is the Curtis Wright soldering lab, is connected to the range in the back of the room. We've got a couple of labs on the second floor, which have like a nuclear simulator and an operating room and an electric grid, substation, distribution stuff going on there with an RTDS, if you know what that is. It looks really cool because it's got all kinds of neat LEDs on the side. So that's fun to look at. I got some blinky lights downstairs too. So what's the, do we care about this? I can come back to this. What was the question? That is true. Dang it. I got no comeback for that. What are we doing on the lab? We're not, you know, what can we do with a range? If you had a lot of compute power and a big pipe and a bunch of cybersecurity faculty, what could you do? I don't know. There's a lot of neat stuff. This we can debate endlessly. What's a protected enclave? Without getting too technical about it, we've created zones and transfer sites. This is one of my research areas. Like, how do you do, air gaps are stupid. Come to my 4 o'clock talk and I'll explain why. But if you can do data exchange in a controlled and fully mediated way where users in that environment get what they need to get done without having to worry about security, then we'll be more secure, right? I'm not sure that we need more cybersecurity professionals, but that's also in my 4 o'clock talk, and we'll talk about that. What does it look like? This one's at the CEI Yellowstone Training Center up the road. This one's downstairs. This one's in Lewiston. I don't know where that one is. Is that Boise? That might be Manticore in Boise. Is one of their previously production level supercomputers that's been donated to the universities. We have a lot of hand-me-down equipment. We accept hand-me-down equipment. Did you know that the state of Idaho gives you a tax deduction for donations to higher education of computing equipment? We're a 501c3. And we have some space now. We've renovated some space that I'd like to show off. I don't have a picture here, but we have a student-run data center now, which we didn't have before. So actual HVAC and UPS systems to keep the power on, which is a major problem in this building. And not a lot of fun when you come in on Monday and nothing works. Each of the community colleges set up a security operations center for modeling data analysis and intrusion detection and incident handling. That feeds to the CyberDome program, which Boise State operates as a student-oriented service and experiential learning environment. I guess it's basically run by interns and a few highly skilled architects to keep everything running, to provide security ops services for places that can't afford it, like small municipalities in rural Idaho, which is pretty great. And then we've got training and simulation environment stuff on the range. So we do some things, and I stole some pictures off of screenshots of systems that aren't running anymore. What was I going to say here? This is a good slide. I was chuckling earlier, and I was like, what was I going to say there? This is about how we try to do malware analysis and let things happen on the range. One of the reasons for the range is that our IT departments don't trust us, for good reason, probably. But you know, so you got to go somewhere to. Yeah, how much time do I have? My theory of cyber education is similar to, I think, our military's theory of training soldiers. You don't set them in front of PowerPoints and then send them into war, right? Like you gotta at least get them into a firing range at some point. And some of those guys have to sit in one of those containers and take the gas mask off and sit there and suffer, right? Like that's part of the training. We need safe training environments that are realistic and where you can shoot yourself in the foot, but you can't screw up my IT environment, right? Like that's where we draw the line. Oh, you did an RM-RF star because somebody on the internet told you to? That's cool, right? Okay, well, start over. Like I want to give all my students root and let them run Kali and do stuff. And every time I talk to the IT department, it's like, look, my goal is I want to release configure. And then they get nervous, right? And some of you chuckled, right? If you're still vulnerable to configure, we need to talk. We need to talk. It's on a system that's not supported by Microsoft like several generations back, right? But it still scares people because it's the most virulent malware in history. And I want to watch people watch that spread, right? Like I want to put it in an environment where they have to defend AD and then I push a button and they go, oh my God, what just happened? And then I watch them sweat it out. And then we hit stop and rewind and play it again. So that's what that slide's about. Right, because Wireshark breaks stuff, right? We also need to educate all our IT people. Like the range should exist for our IT people. The range should exist for school district IT people. The range should exist for high school teachers. The range should exist for INL researchers who want to take some of their research into the public and out of like closed door environments. And the range should exist for bringing together people with different backgrounds, because as we talked about, the other thing I wanted to mention about the job and the career path, as much as CIS is on top of this, infrastructure's in their name, right? And industrial cybersecurity is not in their career path setup yet, right? We do that in Idaho, and we understand how important it is, and one of the things that we figured out is that you've got to take engineers who don't have any cyber background and put them with IT people who don't have any engineering background and help them help each other, right? That peer what's it called? The near-peer education and the collaborative environments where people start to work on real problems like this, where we can build stuff up to scale in the range, is way more interesting, I think, than just an intro VM. We need intro VMs, right? But once you've done all the intro VMs, it's like, now what? And we need training environments that are realistic and full scale and complicated and weird and unknown, right? Without all the tools installed yet and without all the answers worked out. Yeah, so we've got a blue zone and we've got a red zone, and so we can do stuff. We've got some automated tools in place. We've looked at a few different hardcore hacker tool things, but a lot of those, the better they get, the quicker they go commercial. So we've got resource limitations. We're academia and we try to do everything for free or cheap. And so we've put a lot of free tools in place. The red zone is more of an anything goes, but we want it to all live within a virtual layer, right? So I'm trying to build an infrastructure that's shared and accessible and easy to maintain, and none of those things happen all at the same time. And then on that virtual layer, anything goes, right? Like students can build and hack and add and remove and destroy and create, and we've got backups and snapshots and all those wonderful things. I can't remember. Have you guys seen this? The rooster, the cartoon? This is hilarious. I love these guys. This has got nothing to do with cybersecurity, actually, but something about red versus blue. This has more to do with cybersecurity. So people get excited about capture the flags. That means different things to different people. Why don't we just call it Jeopardy? Some of them are just Jeopardy, right? Like Cyber Jeopardy. Capture the flag is when you crawl around in the mud at dark and you like find somebody else's bandana in the trees and you knock them over and then all the dads get mad at you. You're like, that's capture the flag. Purple background stuff. I love this slide from, who did I steal this from? Dragos. Our buddies at Dragos, because you've got, I don't know, this is the job. What's that career? That's what I want to be when I grow up. All the fun. Hack all the things. Well, I don't know, purple's, it's hard to see with the lights on, right? But he's got the anonymous mask and a purple hard hat and like a tie. Right, just slip into the boardroom, head out to the field, change all the firmware on the operating thing, and then back into the cubicle like nobody ever saw you do anything. We did pull off a successful initial range day, right? So we did like a statewide test to make sure everybody could see everybody else. We got a little bit of news coverage. Some of it was just really incorrect. This is from May of this year, April of this year.
Oh, yeah, the one I wrote in DTS.
Yes. And we're going to do that again in October, hopefully. Have I talked to you about that yet? We've got 2 weeks. It'll be fine. Right, exactly. Or the day of. But we're going to, so how many of you are high schoolers or know high schoolers or are associated with high schoolers in some way, like your neighbor has one? I'm looking for high schoolers. And we want to invite them to our campuses all across the state, but hopefully you guys are somewhere near here or can go down to Pocatello or Twin Falls and sit in on the range, and we'll do some activities and we'll have some fun. I'd like to say it's polished and organized and we've got it all figured out. It's not. It's absolutely not. It's not even close. But we're going to beta test some stuff, and we're going to try some exercises. We're going to put up some micro challenges, and we're going to put up our own little VMs and hackathon type things. And hackathon's probably not the right word, hackorama or something else. I still have to do some marketing and announcements, and we actually didn't want it to be too big because we don't know how well it's actually going to work. Any questions? Yes, sir.
When you were just showing up,
Yeah.
so I've got a high schooler.
Yeah.
How exactly would?
Yeah, how do we do it? So, I don't know, back in April we thought we would plan like bust field trip days and stuff and have a big old thing. That's maybe 2 or 3 years from now. The idea right now is our campuses are open, and a lot of the school districts have Fridays off, and there's a lot of homeschooled organizations that we want to try to get into. This campus covers Eastern Idaho Region 6, so from Salmon down to north of Pocatello. Pocatello technically is hosting also, but you could come, up here because I think we're going to actually run a lot of this stuff on this campus. I don't know if they're doing things. I don't think we're ready to set up in the College of Business because they unplugged everything and put it in the corner. So, I mean, I think the best way is to probably get a hold of me, and I'll put up my. Let's do this. Right, Ben Lampe or myself. I'm M. Haney. I'm trying to find a place to put my. Hopefully. Okay, so idahocyberrange.com.net info biz, but not edu yet. We're working on that one. But idahocyberrange.net should be up. Hey, let's look at it and see what happens. Nothing more fun than a live demo. Where's my mouse? Okay. Let's do, so idahocyberrange.net. Oh my gosh, what happened to my?
I just hacked it, so.
Good, thank you. Range.net. Does that work? No, I don't have W3M. You guys know how the internet works. You can look stuff up. And then that'll be a landing page for the event, and then we'll have like you can click. The way we did it last time was to click on different schools to have like sponsors of different activities. We're probably going to switch that to just have activities. And so it'd be like, do you want to learn about network scanning? Do you want to do a PCAP and Wireshark? Do you want to do? It's a little bit maybe more advanced than the micro challenges. It's not nearly as polished, right? We are not nearly as well funded. And it's going to be a facilitator-led sort of thing. So hopefully you're in the room with a faculty member who's walking you through it. That's totally how it's going to work. Yes, sir.
Requiring students to have some background in cybersecurity?
Well, so no, we're trying to target, background. If you don't know how to spell cyber, we might not be the right place to start. But assuming that there's some interest, right, and that there's some. Like I know a bit about this, and I play a lot of Minecraft, and I know how to spell Linux, then it's like, yeah, I can work with you, let's go. Because we'll get them at least on a terminal and working through a file system. And my favorite forensics tool is LS. So, I mean, we can make it pretty advanced pretty quick. Yeah, so the goal, I think we're ironing this out a little bit, and many of the campuses have relationships with existing schools. I have a good partnership with CTEC here in Idaho Falls, the Career and Technical Education Center, and they've got a Cyber Patriot team and a couple of folks who've done really well in the National Cyber League, and an enthusiastic teacher. And so that's kind of my channel into some of the local students, but we've got to find more enthusiastic teachers across the region and across the state. And so this is one way to get them excited. The range itself is going to be a research tool and a training environment for the rest of us. Because just like every other organization and industry, academia has a serious cybersecurity talent shortage, right? We can't hire faculty. We can't find them. We can't train them up fast enough. And when we do train them, they look at us and be like, why would I be a teacher? You know? So we have sort of a crisis situation at all levels of our pipeline and of our system here, our system to keep civilization going and humanity more or less alive. And we got to train up more people better and faster. So we want to leverage this, but there are certainly, you know, without getting on a soapbox and complaining, there are states all around us who've put in tens of millions of dollars on efforts like this. There are really good environments for doing some really good training. There's great curriculum and material. The word doesn't get out very well, and now sometimes there's just too much stuff. And we got to facilitate all that. But none of those other cyber ranges are doing anything with infrastructure, right? Or they're not really doing anything with hacking and defending engineered systems that don't have keyboards and monitors. And that's one of the things that we're particularly interested here in Idaho, for various obvious reasons that this group understands. Is that helpful? What am I showing you? Nope. Anybody know which mountain this is? Where's my mouse?
No, Caleb.
That's a little more local. That's Bora. That desktop's been on my laptop for like 8 years. I'm still, maybe, I think I missed it this year, maybe next year. Anyway, yeah. I have not. That's my goal. That would be my 41st state high point. But I'm getting to like the hard ones now. So, and I spend too much time worried about cyber stuff. Any other questions about the range or education in the state of Idaho? Yes?
For those of us that have outlived our high school years,
Yeah.
are the same opportunities available to us in
Ho-
the same places?
Hopefully better. Okay, so right, so like on Friday the 13th, yeah, it's really, we're trying to reach high school students, but we've also advertised to our freshmen and sophomores on campuses. Anybody else who wants to come back to school, it's going to be an open day, right? So I'm not sure who's going to show up. I've got 16 seats. If I advertise too much, I'm going to get crowded. But there's a few different rooms, and I would like to be crowded. We can solve that problem. Ongoing activities for the next year, I've got a lot of talking to do. I've got a lot of plans to try to formalize with Eastern Idaho players. But the players are U of I, ISU, CEI, the Idaho National Laboratory. A lot of the sponsors of this conference are included in like discussions about how we can do more and train more people and get better education going in the region. We're working with the Workforce Development Center of Idaho, the Idaho Business for Education, the STEM Action Center. The organization for B-Sides, the East Idaho Cybersecurity Education Alliance, is a 501c3 that I think we'd like to be able to leverage that legal structure to be able to do some things differently. Who else is involved? Who else do we want to involve? We want to involve everybody. I think that, and so in Western Idaho, you've got Boise State, College of Western Idaho are both hosting. Lewis and Clark State College has 2 sites that are on the range. Is that west enough? Is that what you were looking for? Yeah. Western and Boise, yeah. So on I think the Meridian campus, Boise State. And then you've got Twin Falls, College of Southern Idaho has some neat stuff going. And so anybody here know Brian Gergens? He was here yesterday. I don't see him here today. He was one of the faculty that left College of Southern Idaho. A couple summers ago, we did like a statewide faculty security onion training, and Brian just smoked us all on the end of the week training like analysis stuff, and then he quit. But he resurfaced, so he now runs Cyberdome for Boise State, and he enjoys the job a lot more. But this is, I mean, it's happening to all of us, right? You train people up, and they get really good, and then if things don't work out, if they're not satisfied, you lose them, and you got to start over again. There's a lot of problems. This is a lightning talk. I have no business standing up here talking to you about all this right now. There's a lot of problems, period. I'll just stop right there. Yeah. Okay.
What was CTEC?
CTEC is the Career and Technical Education Center in District 91 charter school. There's a DTEC in Boise, too, that's got another hotshot cyber patriot coach, teacher, and they've won some national level stuff as well. But we need like, I don't know, a state the size of Idaho. We need 50 school districts that compete at the national level and like 1,000 that participate. How many school districts are there in Idaho? I might have exaggerated. It's not 1,000, is it? There's at least 93. My kids go to 252, so 256. Let's say 300 districts. So if there's 300 districts in Idaho, I'd like to see 200 of them with some kind of cyber program. And we want to help with that. So help get the word out. If you want to volunteer, if you want to work with us, if you want to see more about it, we'll give you tours downstairs, and I'm happy to talk to you, and we need all the help we can get. Okay. That's all I got.